Hey everybody, Steve here on a very hot and humid Louisiana day. I'm here back in the boonies, back in the sticks, about 45 minutes northeast of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And I'm here in a little, I don't even know if you could call it a town. I think it's too small to even be called a town. It's just an area called Bluff Creek. And I'm here at the Bluff Creek Baptist Church where Elly May Clampett is laid to rest. You know what I'm talking about, I'm sure. If you're a baby boomer, I'm sure you watched the very popular 1960s TV series, The Beverly Hillbillies, just like I did. Donna Douglas played Elly May Clampett of the Beverly Hillbillies, and after she left Beverly Hills, after the series went off the air, she moved back here to Louisiana. Douglas also has the honor of being in a very small club of famous people who died on January 1st, New Year's Day. Now, I could wait until New Year's to show you this video. I mean, that would be a nice tie-in, but this is April of 2022, and I've been waiting for 2 to 3 years now to come back and visit her gravesite, so I'm not going to wait till January. I'm going to share it with you now. I don't know exactly how old the cemetery is here. Some of the grave sites are so old that I can't read the dates on them, but the ones that I can read go back to 1918. That's the latest. That's the oldest one that I see here. So this cemetery is at least 104 years old, and I see a number of similar names like the Smiths. So it makes sense that there's probably a number of families that are laid to rest here together as well. Douglas was born in Pride, Louisiana, which is, I guess, East Baton Rouge, and this is Northeast Baton Rouge, on September 26th, 1932. So she was actually a few years older than my mom, which is hard to believe. It's when I was watching the Beverly Hillbillies, it never really occurred to me that Elly May was the same age, or actually a little older than my mom. She died, as I said, on January 1st, 2015, here in Zachary, Louisiana, which is also east of Baton Rouge. So I'm not sure exactly where Zachary is, but I'm guessing it's pretty close to Bluff Creek and Clinton. I guess you could look it up on the map if you're curious. Her cause of death was pancreatic cancer. She was born Doris Smith, so obviously Leeds is her maiden name. And it makes sense why she's buried here next to all of these other Smiths. I'm sure they're all family members. Oh, and I almost forgot to mention, she lived to the age of 82, so she did live a nice long life. So I was curious, I just looked it up, and Robert Leeds, her husband, was a film editor and a television director, and that's how they met. They met on the set of the Beverly Hillbillies. They married in 1971, but divorced 9 years later. So that explains why he's not buried here. He's buried in Hemet, California. In 1957, Douglas was named Miss Baton Rouge. She was later crowned Miss New Orleans. That's one of the fun things about visiting grave sites, is that you really get to know a lot more about the people that you might have just watched on TV and didn't really know anything about them. And then you visit their gravesite, or at least I do, and do a little research just to get to know a little bit more about who they were, and you find out some pretty interesting things. This reminds me of Dawn Wells from Gilligan's Island, who I believe was named Miss Reno, or maybe it was Miss Nevada, back in the 1950s or 60s. So I think that's actually not uncommon for actresses, at least back in the day, to have won some type of beauty contest, and then they get discovered by Hollywood, and the rest is Hollywood history. She started her career in New York, but before long moved to Hollywood, and I believe she appeared in at least a half a dozen to a dozen TV shows before she was cast as Elly May on the Beverly Hillbillies. In 1966, she even co-starred with Elvis Presley in the classic film Frankie and Johnny. So I want to thank whoever took the photo of her gravesite for her Find a Grave memorial page, and also to whoever placed the GPS. That really helped a lot in finding her grave all the way out here in the sticks, as they say, or the boonies. This tiny church graveyard is just out here in the woods. I mean, driving up here for 45 minutes from Baton Rouge, it's mostly just green forest, like you see here. There's a community center here and a church. I'm guessing she must have lived nearby, and this was probably her community center and church. And this is where she wanted to be laid to rest with her family. At least I'm assuming this is her family since there are so many Smiths in this location. I've been wanting to come here for a long time, finally made the road trip back here. I wasn't sure if I'd be able to even visit. I didn't know what kind of a cemetery this was, if it was private or if it was open to the public. It does have a fence around it, but it's not locked, and it looks like it's just part of the church. It's just a church graveyard here. There was a picture on her Find a Grave Memorial page, so I knew what to look for, and it's a very small cemetery, so it was pretty easy to find. And you can see from the change that people left on her headstone here. Lots of pennies, dimes, quarters. And this really large stone here that says, "Rock on, just do it." It's nice to see that she has had visitors. This week I want to give a shout out and a very big thank you to my newest Patreon supporters, Kyle Martin and Diane Hoffa-Fessler. Thanks so much, Kyle and Diane, for your very kind and extra generous donations to my channel. They mean a lot and are very appreciated. So until our next trip to the cemetery together, thanks for sharing the memories, everybody.